Well, good afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be with you at Hotel Dell. And I'm Gary Dannar from Muncie, Indiana. The slide there will show our landscape's a little different than what we're privileged to be here for, and we're happy to be here this week with you at the conference. Also, you're going to notice this is not about transportation. This is not about buses and cars and so forth, but my story actually begins with an advanced automotive battery, and it ends with multiple automotive batteries. And so the electrification process that we've been able to enjoy over the last 6 years starts and is at this point because of this conference and the members. So the thing about Indiana that may be missed with a lot of the country is we are about electrification. It started there at the turn of the century, early automobile days, with starters and batteries and alternators, generators. A lot of industry in Indiana over electrification and support in the automobile industry. In World War II, the Crane Naval Base, we have a Navy base in Indiana. Seems out of place, but that's where all of the electric submarine batteries came from. So our military has looked for support from Indiana electrification, those technologies, for a long, long time. General Motors' first EV car, the EV1, 5,000 of those, that was engineered and assembled about 30 miles from where we're at. That came right out of Indiana. So we know about electrification, and it wasn't hard for us 6 years ago to take a reference to the tractor loader backhoe there in the back of the, that's a diesel off-road vehicle. And it was clear that electrification was going to transform transportation industry, but it wouldn't be long before we would focus on off-road equipment. And off-road equipment needed to become very much electric. And so we started with a new way to look at off-road equipment when we go through the electrification. And one of the ways we started, of course, is a bill of materials of electric components. And what we were looking for in 2011 was the best advanced automotive battery around. And that was in a Chevrolet Volt, if you may remember, 2012. So we got on a waiting list. We went and bought a Chevy Volt, this very one right here. And we knew that inside there was 16 kilowatt hours of liquid-cooled battery and a lot of other technology that we were very interested in. And that launched our Volt concept in 2011. And what we were really looking for was how to make that off-road, heavy-duty, four-wheel drive, four-wheel steer. And you can kind of get an idea with this is kind of funny when I look at this. It's like people are looking for that battery. They know the battery's in there somewhere. But seriously, with great technicians, we kept this vehicle alive the whole time, like open heart surgery. We never let it turn off. We kept the systems intact, and it wasn't long before we finished. You'll see the battery be coming out of there before long. Because it wasn't just the components that we were after. What we ended up with was something that looks like that. There's a lot of Caterpillar off-road in there. There's a lot of Lift King off-road forklift, 30,000 pound lift capacity. You see the GM Volt battery right there on the front. Of course, you see the Volt in the background that has given up. But what is most important is that right there, that dash. That's where all the intelligence is. We think we were clearly the first hybrid off-road electric vehicle with an airbag in the dash. But more importantly, it's the intelligence and it's the battery systems we were interested in, because we wanted to accomplish how to take hydraulics, mechanical planetary axles, and take the latest and greatest technology from those systems, but merge those, combine that with electrical systems. So every morning, this vehicle would begin life as a Chevy Volt. It never lost its personality. It kept that all through the end. And in the beginning, the first steps, day one, shows that we are working on blending mechanical, heavy-duty four-wheel drive axles, four-wheel steer, a lot of power. We can pull a 737 plane with this. We put this on the dyno, and tremendous power. You all know that. Electric is wonderful work power. But we also had hydraulics, some of the greatest hydraulics that Parker Hannifin, a 100-year-old company that partnered with us, they put on board. And eventually we were outside with windshield wipers, turn signals, hydraulics, and we had a great vehicle. It's just a concept showing that all of those technologies can live together on a four-wheel drive system. Now, back at our plant, in the spirit of recycling, we took all of the leftover parts and put it all back together and realized we had a very nice car that had low mileage and brand new, not a scratch, missing a few parts, of course. But what was impressive about that car was it received a 5-star crashworthiness rating in 2012. And you could really see that when you walk over, open the door, and look in. So we told that story to the Chevrolet dealer, saying you really need to put this on your showroom floor. It'll help you sell more electric cars. He thought that was a good idea. He came, picked it up, and we traded it in on a new pickup truck. So that car ended back up in a showroom floor. Now, where this kind of shifts, and I'd like to share the information, is why do that? If you're focused on transportation, why does the industry need an electric off-road vehicle? The emissions, obviously, are one very strong reason. But if you go back in history here, 1906, that red-wheeled Fordson tractor, that was 20 horsepower. It basically was replacing horses to pull. And below that is the Caterpillar with 26 horsepower. It's a pulling machine. And the point is, the industry, industrialization, work stopped where the grid stopped. The work that was being performed at that time was inside buildings where you could be connected. Once you got outside, you needed to have off-grid power, and diesel was it. So 100 years go by, wonderful machines down the lower there. You see all the different single-purpose construction machines. They all have a diesel engine in them. The top row is agriculture, and they're all single-purpose. Machines that have evolved very nicely for planting and for harvesting or seasonal or part-time use. But those are single-purpose machines, so everything has a diesel engine. When you think about electrifying a new platform, you come up with what's on the right side, a multi-purpose platform where you can load all of the energy storage in below belt line, and now you have a very configurable machine. And you can visit our website and you can see this machine working. This is in life, in production, works in the river. So now you have the option to not just pull or replace horses, but with the hydraulic systems I mentioned, we can run any hydraulic attachment. You can put loaders on the front, dump beds on the back, scissor lift. You can see that you can do a lot of work now with an electric machine. The nice thing about having an electric off-road vehicle, though, is what you end up with is a mobile off-grid power source. And now you have all that stored energy that it can show up as an emergency responder vehicle, do the appropriate work for the emergency responders showing up at the scene, but the grid may be out, most likely it is, and now it is able to be a very zero-emission, clean, quiet generator to export its power. So it's a wonderful packaging exercise for us. We're getting great reception with that type of concept of electric platform that can work. There on the left, all about maintenance and attachments, disaster response, and power utility. It really ends up being a brand new category of equipment. There's nothing out there like that at the moment. And that concept is not being missed by many people. For example, the Volvo off-road people have a new concept that's in public space. And this is an autonomous electric vehicle. You can see right here, autonomous electric. They have announced that they will be testing this in the fall of this year, this concept. General Motors on-road concept, you may have seen that in the news recently. That's a fuel cell electric, but the whole idea is a skateboard approach where now we can have something configurable using electric. So the concept makes a lot of sense. Of course, we're already there. And to give you an idea of how the mobile power station can work, if you look at this lower left, the whole idea is our platform can be any one of those tomorrow. This is allowing the fleet manager to make a decision seasonally or work-related. Maybe I want it to be a backhoe attachment. Caterpillar makes this one. A scissor lift on the back. Maybe I decide I want a cab on it. But those are choices a fleet manager is able to make throughout the life of that machine. And the attachments are not difficult. They may already own attachments. These are coming from Caterpillar. There's over 200 of them that are hydraulic. Because we have a lot of robust hydraulics on board, we can power anybody's attachment. And it gives you that kind of choice to be manned or unmanned. Strictly for power, we're now able to package up to 12 BMW i3 battery packs in here. That gives us 504 kilowatt hours of storage. That will power a lot of tents for several days. So clean, quiet electricity for those kind of events. Of course, wherever the grid ends, doesn't mean you can't be there with power. You can be there with clean, quiet power on beaches, national parks, you name it. So that's the other part. Now, not the best slide for California, but it makes the point. Hydraulics require, especially attachments like this, they require a lot of energy. And we have a hydraulic system that has that. And of course, with the battery packs I just mentioned, we have that kind of energy on board. Equipped for a marine port with a forklift and a scissor lift, and a workstation. They didn't want a cab. This is something the cab can come on and off, as I mentioned. Airports, you kind of get the idea that there's a lot of machinery out there doing a lot of work that a mobile power station, because of the electrification part of it, it's able to adapt and be very configurable. And it's submergible, of course, 48 inches of water, which helps with emergency response. You can show up. So to kind of close in 2 points, those concepts of work, we hear more and more all the time, but the reality is that machine is in production. In fact, the machine in these pictures is sitting just right there in valet parking. And if you're interested, when we're finished, I'd be happy to show you the machine. So this machine is right outdoors. You have the option, we're operating it wirelessly. If you didn't want to operate it wirelessly, you would put a cab on there or an operator station. It's available on the government's GSA catalog. It's available on California Multiple Award Schedule. I had really hoped that we could make an announcement, but out of respect for the state of California and the different agencies that have been working with us, a customer, a Northern California port, has purchased 2. And that announcement will be coming in the very near future, just any time. So the concept is in place, and this is kind of my opportunity to make 2 points as I close. One, to say thank you to the industry, the advanced automotive battery industry. Without that, we couldn't have started. But what an amazing job this group has done in 6 years. I had 16 kilowatt hours to start with, and now I'm using BMW high performance i3 batteries. I can put multiple packs, scalable, 3, 6, 9, 12, all the way to 500. Now I can really do some work, and we can come up with this type of a solution. So it's my opportunity to say thanks to the industry. And the other thing is to remind everyone, this is not about transportation only. It's not about cars and batteries. The electrification, your technology is going to transform the world in many, many ways. And it's exciting to be part of that, and I'm anxious to see what the next 5 years is. Thank you very much.